The early 2000s marked a turning point in the history of online communication. The internet was no longer a strange new tool reserved for universities, businesses, or technology enthusiasts. It had become a common household feature. Families had home computers, teenagers were building their first online identities, and communication was shifting from private email inboxes to public or semi public online spaces. The social internet was taking shape. With this transformation came a new generation of hoaxes that adapted to the changing culture of the digital world. Email still remained a major force during the early 2000s, but now it was competing with websites, instant messaging programs, and emerging social networks. Hoaxes no longer needed to rely exclusively on forwarded messages. They now had access to community forums, personal web pages, and message boards that allowed rumors to spread in new ways. These new platforms mix community and communication together, creating environments where misinformation could thrive with even greater force. One of the largest influences during this period was Hotmail, which was one of the most widely used email services in the world. Hotmail's enormous audience made it a perfect target for hoaxes because many people did not understand how free email services operated. Rumors began circulating that Hotmail would soon impose fees. Countless chain messages warned users that the service was running out of funds, that the servers were too overloaded, or that Microsoft was preparing to convert Hotmail into a paid subscription. These messages often included bogus statements claiming that Hotmail was tracking how many times the warning was forwarded. The hoax insisted that only accounts belonging to active users would remain free. This single idea created one of the most powerful digital hoaxes of the early 2000s. People genuinely worried that failing to forward a message would result in their email accounts being deleted or charged. The claim that Microsoft was monitoring how many times a message had been forwarded was completely false, but it reflected something important about the era. People believed that large tech companies had mysterious tracking abilities far beyond what existed at the time. Since few people understood how digital systems worked, these rumors felt believable. They also mirrored the chain letters of the 1980s. The medium had changed, but the structure remained the same. MSN Messenger also played a major role in this era of misinformation. This instant messaging service became the primary communication tool for millions of users. It allowed text based chats, custom emoticons, and status updates. The growing popularity of MSN Messenger led to a wave of hoaxes targeted at its users. Some claimed that Microsoft would begin charging for the service. Others warned that inactive accounts would be deleted if the user did not forward a specific message. A few versions even used scare tactics, claiming that hackers were infiltrating the system and stealing private conversations. These warnings spread because people relied heavily on these services to stay connected with friends. Losing access felt like a legitimate threat. Alongside the hoaxes involving major communication platforms, a new category of misinformation began to grow. This category was built on emotional manipulation. Chain emails featuring tragic stories, inspirational messages, or pleas for help were becoming more common. Although some were based on real events, many were either outdated or completely fabricated. Messages begging for help for an injured child, a missing relative, or a terminally ill family member often circulated for years without any verification. These emails were shared widely because they appealed to compassion. People wanted to help, and forwarding the message seemed like an easy way to do something meaningful. These emotional hoaxes demonstrated how misinformation could spread not only through fear, but also through kindness. The early 2000s also saw a surge in virus related hoaxes. The growth of the internet brought an increase in real computer viruses, but it also created a flood of false warnings. Many users could not distinguish between genuine threats and imaginary ones. As a result, hoaxes claiming that new, unstoppable viruses were spreading rapidly became very common. Some messages warned that a virus could erase an entire hard drive instantly. Others claimed that reading a simple text email could destroy a computer. Although most of these claims were technologically impossible, the messages spread widely because they sounded urgent and authoritative. The rise of early community forums also contributed to the spread of misinformation. Platforms that allowed users to discuss topics, share news, or post creative content became major hubs for hoaxes. Internet users began sharing bizarre stories, exaggerated claims, and urban legends disguised as personal experiences. Many people believed these anonymous accounts because they felt authentic. Online communities gave users a sense of belonging, but they also gave misinformation a chance to thrive. A single false claim posted by an anonymous user could quickly gain traction if enough people found it interesting or alarming. During this time, the first major social networks began to emerge. Websites allowed users to create personal profiles, upload photos, and interact with others in public ways. These early social networks were often simple, but their impact was enormous. For the first time, digital hoaxes had access to platforms where users shared information not just with individuals, but with entire networks of connections. Suddenly, a rumor could spread from one person to dozens or even hundreds in a matter of minutes. This new environment transformed hoaxes from private annoyances into public events. The early 2000s also witnessed the rise of photoshopped images that circulated online as if they were real. While image editing existed long before the internet, this was the first time manipulated images could spread globally. Pictures showing giant animals, impossible weather events, or bizarre creatures were often taken as fact. People were not used to questioning the authenticity of digital images. These edited pictures became the foundation of many early visual hoaxes, some of which would evolve into more elaborate misinformation in later years. Another early trend that shaped this era was the spread of hoaxes involving free products or rewards. Messages claimed that companies were giving away laptops, gift cards, flights, or money as part of promotional events. These hoaxes exploited people's desire for free items during a time when many households were still adjusting to the cost of new technology. Even though the offers were too good to be true, millions of people forwarded them anyway. This taught scammers something crucial. If a hoax offered something desirable, people were more likely to share it without checking its authenticity. By the mid 2000s, the landscape of the internet had changed dramatically. The foundation for modern social networks was firmly in place. People were sharing more information than ever before. Online communities were growing, and the need for digital literacy was becoming increasingly clear. Hoaxes had evolved from basic warnings into complex, emotionally driven narratives that took advantage of rapidly expanding communication tools. The world was ready for the next stage of online interaction, and that next stage would amplify misinformation to unprecedented levels. This period, with its mix of email culture, instant messaging, early communities, and photo editing technology, set the stage for the rise of large social networks. A new platform was ready to transform the digital world and take hoaxes into a completely new era. The stage was set for the arrival of social media giants, and with them, some of the most powerful internet hoaxes ever created. The mid 2000s introduced a new chapter in the evolution of online hoaxes. For the first time, the internet was no longer centered around email, message boards, or simple chat programs. A new digital environment was emerging, one that allowed people to present themselves openly to the world through personal profiles, photos, and public posts. These websites were the earliest forms of modern social media, and they brought about a dramatic transformation in the spread of misinformation. Hoaxes were no longer limited to private communication. They were becoming public, viral, and deeply woven into the social fabric of the online experience. MySpace was one of the first social networks to dominate the early 2000s. It offered customizable profiles, music playlists, photo galleries, and comment sections that allowed users to express their personalities in ways that had never been possible online. But with this freedom came new vulnerabilities. Rumors began circulating within MySpace communities that the platform was facing shutdown. Users shared warnings claiming that the site was running out of money or losing support from investors. Some versions insisted that MySpace would soon charge monthly fees unless users reposted a message on their profiles. These rumors borrowed heavily from the email hoaxes of the previous decade, but adapted to the new social environment by using public posting instead of private forwarding. Alongside shutdown rumors, identity hoaxes began to thrive. MySpace profiles often featured limited verification, which made it easy for users to pretend to be someone else. At first, this trend was mostly harmless. Teenagers pretended to be celebrities or fictional characters. However, as the platform grew, Impersonation hoaxes became more complicated. Fake profiles claimed to belong to musicians, reality TV stars, or well known online personalities. Some users posted false announcements about celebrity deaths or dramatic events. These hoaxes spread quickly because MySpace communities were tightly connected. It only took a few misleading posts to generate massive confusion. The rise of blogs also played a role in misinformation during this era. Before mainstream social networks took over, blogs were one of the primary ways individuals shared stories, news, and experiences. Some blogs posted inaccurate information by accident, others did so intentionally to gain attention. Sensational claims were rewarded with clicks and comments, creating an environment where unverified stories could spread quickly. Many early internet users treated blogs with the same level of trust they would give to traditional news articles, not realizing that many blogs were run by individuals with no editorial oversight. At the same time, online forums were becoming more sophisticated. Instead of small, isolated communities, large forums began forming around common interests such as gaming, technology, and entertainment. These forums often became breeding grounds for rumors. Anonymous users posted unverified claims, false news updates, or exaggerated stories that rapidly gained momentum. The combination of anonymity and community created an environment where misinformation spread easily. In many cases, forum members believed the rumors because they came from peers rather than outside sources. A new form of online deception also emerged during this period. These were hoaxes built around altered photographs. With the growing availability of digital cameras and easy access to image editing software, people began circulating manipulated pictures that appeared real. Some showed enormous animals, unnatural weather phenomena, or unusual creatures that supposedly washed ashore after storms. Others claimed to show hidden government facilities, archaeological discoveries, or supernatural events. Because users were still learning how digital images could be manipulated, many believed the photos were genuine. These hoaxes demonstrated how visual misinformation could be just as powerful as text-based rumors. Another trend of the early to mid 2000s involved viral challenges and dares. Unlike the later versions that spread through platforms like TikTok, these early challenges circulated mainly through email and community forums. Some were harmless, such as quizzes or personality tests. Others were more concerning. Messages encouraged users to perform dangerous stunts, share embarrassing secrets, or send personal information to strangers. These early viral challenges often blurred the line between entertainment and manipulation, making them a precursor to the future waves of social media challenges. During this same period, phishing scams became far more advanced. The growth of online shopping and online banking created new opportunities for scammers to trick users with official-looking emails. Many people fell victim to hoaxes claiming that their accounts had been compromised or that urgent verification was required. These messages often linked to fake websites designed to steal passwords or financial data. The ease with which scammers could impersonate trusted companies revealed a growing problem. Users were not prepared to identify digital deception. They believed what appeared visually official. As more people connected to the internet, misinformation gained new strength. It no longer depended on being forwarded manually from person to person. It could now spread through public posts, shared comments, and discussions among large groups of users. Every new platform increased the speed with which a rumor could travel. A false story that once took days or weeks to circulate now reached thousands in a matter of hours. By the time MySpace reached its peak, other platforms were emerging that would soon reshape the digital landscape. Facebook was growing rapidly among college students. YouTube was introducing user-generated video at a scale no one had imagined. Twitter was preparing to change how news was delivered. These platforms would soon become major hubs for misinformation, but before they did, another website was rising to prominence and would play a major role in the evolution of online hoaxes. This website was Craigslist, a platform that allowed users to buy, sell, trade, and communicate anonymously. Although Craigslist was not a traditional social network, it became a powerful environment for hoaxes. Fake job offers, false rental listings, and misleading advertisements began to appear frequently. Some hoaxes were created by scammers looking to steal money. Others were pranks or attempts to mislead the public. The anonymity of the platform made it difficult to trace the source of a hoax, and many users trusted listings simply because they appeared on a popular website. Craigslist taught the world an important lesson. Digital platforms with minimal verification could become ideal environments for misinformation. Another influential platform during this period was Something Awful, a website known for humor, satire, and community driven content. Although many of the posts were intentionally comedic, some of the website's fictional stories were taken seriously by outsiders. This is where the seeds of several early creepypasta stories developed, including the early foundations for the later Slender Man phenomenon. These stories demonstrated how fictional content could escape its original context and be understood as genuine by people unfamiliar with the source. All of these platforms, from early social networks to community-driven websites, were shaping the way hoaxes evolved. People were becoming more connected, and information was spreading faster than ever. The culture surrounding digital communication had shifted from private messages to public displays, and with that shift came new risks. Hoaxes were no longer simple chains or warnings, they were becoming social events. As the mid 2000s came to an end, the internet was preparing for another transformation. Facebook was opening beyond universities and becoming a global platform. YouTube was growing into a central hub for online video. Twitter was taking shape as a real-time news distribution service. These emerging giants were about to change the course of online misinformation forever. The next phase of the story would take hoaxes from the community level to the global stage. As the mid 2000s transitioned into the late 2000s, the internet entered a phase that would permanently reshape global communication. For the first time, platforms emerged that combined personal identity, public posting, fast sharing, and massive interconnected audiences. These platforms did not just allow communication, they encouraged it, they rewarded it, they transformed it into a daily habit. In this new environment, hoaxes gained more power than ever before. What had once been scattered rumors shared through email or forum threads was now capable of reaching millions of people with a single click. Facebook was one of the most influential platforms in this transformation. Originally created for college students, the site began opening its doors to the general public in 2006. Unlike MySpace, Facebook offered a cleaner design and a focus on real identities. Users were encouraged to connect with family members, classmates, co-workers, and anyone they knew in real life. This created an entirely new level of trust. People were more likely to believe information posted by friends or relatives than by anonymous sources. As a result, hoaxes gained credibility simply because they appeared next to familiar profile pictures. The earliest Facebook hoaxes drew inspiration from the email hoaxes of prior decades. Messages claimed that Facebook would begin charging subscription fees. Others warned that the platform would delete inactive accounts. Some insisted that only users who posted a specific message on their profile would remain safe. These claims relied on fear, urgency, and the assumption that Facebook might follow the path of other online services that had moved to paid models in the past. Even though the company repeatedly stated that the platform would remain free, the rumors continued to spread. This showed how powerful social networks had become. A single post could appear in dozens of timelines within minutes, and misinformation could flourish simply because people wanted to protect their accounts. Celebrity death hoaxes also grew during this era. Before social media, false celebrity rumors were spread through email chains or online forums. Now, they spread instantly. A single post could claim that a famous actor, musician, or athlete had died unexpectedly. Because the information was easy to share and emotionally charged, it traveled quickly. Users often reposted the rumor before checking its accuracy. This pattern of behavior would shape the years to come, as social media encouraged fast reactions instead of careful verification. The rise of YouTube introduced a new element to the world of hoaxes. For the first time, video-based misinformation could reach massive audiences. Some early YouTube hoaxes involve staged paranormal encounters, supposed evidence of mythical creatures, or dramatic events that were later revealed to be scripted. These videos were often shared as real evidence, especially when uploaded by users who presented themselves as investigators or experts. The visual element made the misinformation more persuasive. People believed what they saw, even when the footage had been carefully edited or staged. Another major influence during this period was the growth of 4chan, a platform known for anonymity and chaotic creativity. The site became a breeding ground for elaborate pranks and hoaxes that sometimes escaped into the wider internet. Because posts on 4chan were not tied to personal identities, users felt free to create outrageous stories, fake announcements, or fabricated evidence. Some of these hoaxes were small, while others became major internet events that fooled thousands of people. The anonymity encouraged experimentation, and the culture surrounding the platform celebrated misinformation as entertainment. Reddit also began to grow in popularity during this time. The platform used a voting system that allowed users to promote stories, images, or rumors they found interesting. Although the intention was to highlight the best content, this voting system sometimes amplified false claims. If enough users believed or enjoyed a particular rumor, it could rise to the front page of the site, creating the illusion of credibility. Reddit would later become the center of one of the most significant hoaxes in early modern social media history, but even in its early years, the platform demonstrated how quickly misinformation could spread through communities that rewarded sensational content. Visual hoaxes continued to evolve during the late 2000s as photo editing tools improved. Manipulated images of storms, animals, disasters, and strange phenomena circulated on Facebook, Reddit, and blog sites. Many of these images were originally created as art projects or digital experiments, but once shared without context, they became sources of misinformation. Users often posted these images as real events, and without easy access to fact checking tools, many people accepted them as truth. This demonstrated how online culture was shifting. Images were now shared more frequently than text, and visual misinformation carried a strong emotional impact. During this time, rumors also circulated through chain messages on Facebook and other social platforms. Users posted claims about missing children, dangerous new crimes, or health threats that supposedly required urgent attention. Some messages warned about gang initiation rituals or criminals using unexpected methods to target victims. Others claimed that certain everyday items were dangerous or contaminated. Many of these warnings were recycled versions of older urban legends that had been circulating for decades, now adapted to social media format. People often shared these posts because they felt protective over their families and communities. The emotional content made the misinformation feel urgent and important. The late 2000s also saw the emergence of early data-based hoaxes, where misleading statistics or charts were used to create panic or confusion. These hoaxes often contained numbers or graphs that looked authoritative but had no real source. Without strong digital literacy skills, many users accepted these charts as factual simply because they appeared scientific. These types of hoaxes laid the groundwork for future waves of statistical misinformation that would spread widely in the 2000s and beyond. As the decade drew to a close, the power of social media to spread misinformation had become undeniable. Hoaxes were no longer limited to personal messages shared privately. They were public, viral, and capable of affecting millions. The online world was now a place where rumors spread faster than facts, and social networks amplified the loudest voices regardless of accuracy. Misinformation had evolved from a small scale annoyance into a global issue. The stage was set for the next era, one defined by social networks that grew into worldwide platforms. The 2010s would bring dramatic changes to communication. Facebook would expand to billions of users. Twitter would become central to breaking news. YouTube would shape public perception through video content, and Reddit would influence mainstream media in unexpected ways. With each new development, hoaxes would grow more complex, more believable, and more impactful. This next era would contain some of the most significant misinformation events in internet history. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed learning something new today, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment telling us what you thought of this story.